If you've ever walked into the produce aisle and suddenly found yourself frozen between two giant crates of onions, one glowing bright white and the other shimmering in deep purple, you're not alone. Most people grab whichever one their family always used or whichever looks the least likely to make them cry. But here's the surprising part. The choice between red onions and white onions is a lot more meaningful than most of us realize. Their flavor, texture, history, chemistry, cultural uses, and even nutritional value are wildly different. So today we're peeling back every layer to reveal what makes these two kitchen staples so unique. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly which onion belongs in which dish and why. Before we even get to flavor or cooking, let's zoom out and look at the incredible history behind onions themselves. These little bulbs have been part of human life for more than 5,000 years. Ancient Egyptians saw them as symbols of eternity because of their endless layers, and they painted onions on tomb walls and placed them inside coffins. Greeks ate them before athletic competitions, believing onions increased strength and stamina. Medieval Europeans relied on them so heavily that onions were sometimes used as rent payments and wedding gifts. But even within this long history, the types of onions we know today developed along separate paths. Red onions come from regions where the soil naturally encouraged pigments to develop, while white onions became popular in areas where strong, fast-cooking aromatics dominated local cuisine. And that history still shapes how we use them today. Just look at them side by side. Red onions have this dramatic, almost regal appearance. Their skins glow with a purple-red sheen that feels like they're trying to steal the spotlight from the tomatoes and lettuce beside them. White onions, meanwhile, look clean and unassuming, like they're ready to step in, do the work, and never ask for credit. But these visuals are more than just surface beauty. Each onion's exterior hints at its deeper chemistry, and that chemistry translates into flavor, texture, and cooking behavior. So choosing the right onion isn't about guesswork, it's about understanding the personality of each one. Let's dive into flavor first, because this is where the separation becomes obvious. Red onions are naturally milder when raw, with a gentle sweetness that creeps in behind the initial bite. They bring flavor, yes, but not the kind that takes over a dish. They're subtle, aromatic, and crisp in a way that makes them ideal for fresh toppings. Think of tacos loaded with lime and cilantro, sandwiches layered with fresh vegetables, burgers stacked with crunchy onion rings, or salads that need a pop of flavor without overwhelming the greens. When you bite into a slice of red onion, it speaks softly. White onions, on the other hand, do not whisper. They announce themselves the moment they hit your cutting board. They're sharper, brighter, and more pungent, with a stronger sulfur profile that gives them that unmistakable onion punch. That's why they show up in dishes where the onion is supposed to be tasted. Mexican salsas, stir-fries, enchiladas, hearty soups, and recipes built around bold aromatics. If red onions are a polite nudge of flavor, white onions are the kind that kick the door open and say, "We're doing this." Texture plays a bigger role than people realize. Red onions are firmer and noticeably crisper, which is why they hold their shape so beautifully when sliced thin. They stay snappy even after sitting in dressings or marinades. Cut them into rings, and they add structure to a dish. This crunchy integrity is what makes them ideal for raw use or for giving a dish a little extra bite. White onions behave differently. Their cell walls break down faster, especially when heat enters the picture. Sauté them for just a few minutes, and they begin to soften and melt, sending their aroma throughout the kitchen. This is why white onions are a foundation for recipes that depend on fast-building flavor. Soups, stews, stir-fries, casseroles, and anything requiring a quick onion base. They dissolve into the dish instead of standing apart from it. Now let's talk science, because onions are basically tiny chemistry labs disguised as vegetables. When you slice an onion, you break open microscopic cells that release sulfur compounds. Those compounds mix with the moisture in your eyes and create sulfuric acid, hence the tears. White onions generally have higher sulfur content, which is why they're the real culprits behind most of your onion-related crying sessions. That extra sulfur is also what gives them their sharper flavor and stronger aroma. Red onions, while still capable of making you tear up, contain slightly fewer sulfur compounds and more natural sugars, which is why they taste gentler and sweeter. Their vibrant color comes from anthocyanins, natural pigments that are powerful antioxidants. These pigments react to acidity, which is why red onions brighten dramatically when you add lemon juice or vinegar. This isn't just pretty, it's chemistry in action. It's the reason pickled red onions turn that electric hot pink shade we all love on tacos and salads. So the big question, when should you use each one? Red onions are at their best when eaten raw or lightly cooked. They shine in salads, ceviche, sandwiches, charcuterie boards, Greek dishes, Middle Eastern plates, and anything that benefits from a bright, crisp bite. They're perfect for quick pickling because they keep their crunch and turn stunningly pink. But cook them too long and they lose their vibrant color, fading into a muted tone that's less visually appealing. They still taste great, but the visual magic is gone. White onions are the champions of cooked dishes, especially when you want deep, unmistakable onion flavor. They're used widely in Mexican cuisine, where their intensity pairs beautifully with tomatoes, jalapenos, peppers, and citrus. They're excellent for sautéing, frying, simmering, and caramelizing. They break down faster, meaning they blend seamlessly into sauces, stews, and aromatics. If you need an onion to disappear into the background while boosting overall flavor, white onions are your best friend. Now let's talk aesthetics, because food isn't just eaten, it's experienced. Red onions absolutely win when it comes to looks. Their deep color transforms ordinary plates into Instagram-worthy dishes. Even a simple salad feels elevated with thin red onion rings layered on top. White onions, though visually plain, excel in blending in. They don't steal the spotlight. They let the rest of the ingredients shine. That neutrality is incredibly useful when you want flavor without altering the appearance of the dish. Price is another interesting factor. Red onions are often slightly more expensive because their thinner skin makes them more vulnerable during storage and transportation. They bruise more easily and don't last quite as long as white onions. White onions are hardier, easier to store, and grow in higher quantities, which is why restaurants and home cooks rely on them for everyday use. They're consistent, affordable, and versatile, making them a kitchen staple around the world. Onions may seem like humble ingredients, but once you start paying attention, they reveal a surprisingly deep complexity. Their chemistry affects their flavor. Their flavor affects their purpose. Their purpose affects the entire dish. Understanding the differences between red and white onions turns you from a guess-and-grab cook into someone who chooses ingredients with precision. And maybe the most surprising part? These differences weren't accidents. They were shaped by geography, climate, history, and culture. Red onions thrived in regions with mineral-rich soils that encouraged deep pigmentation. White onions became staples in cuisines where bold heat and fast cooking techniques demanded stronger aromatics. Your onion choice today is connected to traditions hundreds of years old. So next time you're in the produce aisle, don't just grab whatever is closest. Ask yourself, do I want sweetness or punch? Crunch or softness? Color or invisibility? A raw flavor boost or a deep cooked base? Suddenly, those two piles of onions won't seem so confusing anymore. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed uncovering the secrets behind these two everyday ingredients, let us know what simple thing you'd like us to explore next. Be sure to check out our other binge-worthy channels for more stories hidden in plain sight. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more incredible stories woven into the smallest details of everyday life.